Today we are talking about pre-approvals. This is, I don't know if it's necessarily a new thing in the market in the last 10 years, but I know that anybody who bought previously didn't really have to follow this rule. So whether you're a new buyer or you haven't bought in a while, you need a pre-approval now. And today we're going to talk about why you need one,
who you need it from,
and what needs to be in that pre-approval letter. I'm Ruth Gian with the Ruth Gian team of eXp Realty.
And I'm Danielle Tully.
And this is Putting the Real in Real Estate. So the first thing we want to talk about is why you need a pre-approval. And we're not suggesting you get a pre-approval. We're telling you you need a pre-approval. After you hire your real estate agent, the next step before you go inside a property is to have a pre-approval from a competent lender.
And pre-approval, not a pre-qualification. There is a difference, and a pre-approval is stronger. It means that a lender has gone through and not nitpicked, but still confirmed a few of the most pertinent information necessary in the lending process. So income and things like that.
And if they haven't asked you for any documentation, it's not a pre-approval and it's not going to get you a house. So lots of times people think, oh, I'm sure I'm going to be fine with approval. I'm more worried about finding the house. So that's what I need to do. Guess what? If you find a house and you don't have a pre-approval, you can't buy it. And you may not have time to do what it takes.
Absolutely, especially in this market. Another day or two of trying to get that information from a lender, especially somebody who you haven't talked to already, is going to possibly cost you a house.
Easily.
It is required that we submit one. When we do our paperwork, we do the offers, we look over the disclosures, sign those, and we include a pre-approval, and we send that's all in an offer package that we go and get.
If there's no pre-approval with your offer, it's essentially not going to be treated as an offer. Now, legally, it still needs to be presented to the seller, but the seller is going to be strongly cautioned by their agent not to respond to it until there's some proof that you can actually purchase it.
Correct.
So the first thing that the pre-approval does is it sets the budget. It's going to tell us how much you can spend.
Correct. And also it helps. So there's a lot that goes into buying a house, and we've talked about this before as far as your monthly payments go. And there's things that talk about taxes. Having a budget of $300,000 and in an HOA. With extra fees and higher taxes or lower taxes, those all contribute to what is in your budget. It's not throwing a number out there going, I like that house, that's $300,000, I should buy it. If taxes are $10,000 or $15,000, that's going to be different what you can afford.
And what the lender thinks you can afford, because it's not necessarily what you think fits into your budget, but your lender's going to look at things like your debt to income, your actual income from your employer. So you might say, well, I make $95,000, but guess what? Is that what you bring home in a check? Because that's the part your lender's going to look at.
Correct.
So
and other debts that you have, if you have car payments, student loan payments, a lot of credit card debt, or even a little bit of credit
child
card
support,
that all goes in to your monthly ability to pay the loan back.
And it's the lender who's going to determine what that is. So
Right.
You give them all the information, they make that determination. There's laws that they have to follow. There's rules from their company that they have to follow. Some lenders are going to differ a little bit on different things. Some can do a lower credit rating for an example. But for the most part, any decent lender is going to follow kind of the same system in getting your information and assessing it and coming up with your budget. And when they do that, they're also vetting you. And that's really important from a seller point of view. When we take on the, I think, sort of sacred responsibility of showing someone's home to a stranger, it's really important that we know who that person is and that they are who they say they are. Now, Danielle and I work by referral. We usually actually know our clients. But occasionally we will get calls from people who think that they ought to just be able to go into someone's home. And what I want to point out is we take people into other people's homes. We show them where their children sleep. It's very important that this was not someone who pulled up an app, clicked a button, and showed up to meet a stranger to go into a stranger's house.
Correct.
So that pre-approval tells us that someone has gone through your documentation, matched up, say, a driver's license with a bank statement, and you're probably not a murderer.
Well, let's hope. But that's
the first time. There's a first time for everything.
Correct.
But it gives us and the sellers a measure of security. Absolutely.
So that's some of our whys. The who is also very important. As we've talked about many times, ad nauseum sometimes, we have preferred partners that we work with. It helps all the transactions move along smoothly. And lenders are part of that. Now, we don't, it's not required. We can't tell you who everyone has their choices to make, but we know we work with some really great lenders who get the job done time and time again over the years. It's not, and they've all been in the business for years. They've seen the highs, the lows, and just like us, they see the pitfalls and the warning signs and can really help move things along. Whereas if you call just a random person and say, I need a pre-approval, without a relationship, or you don't know them from anything, we're not as confident.
And we don't prefer them just because we like them and they're, good looking and fun to hang out with. All those things are true. But we prefer them because they actually do their jobs. And it's surprising the number of lenders who don't. And guess when you find out that your lender didn't do his or her job?
A day before or 3 days, now 3 days before closing.
We just had one fall apart on a Tuesday that was supposed to close on a Friday. I can't tell you how excruciating that is for everyone involved. Don't put yourself in that position. Get a lender that your trusted realtor works with and has a history with and trusts. We've got a few.
Yes. And if they're watching, make a comment.
Yeah, right.
I got to say that. If anybody's watching and they have input or questions, please add to the comments. And if we see them, we will definitely say something.
Yeah, and if there's questions, certainly we can answer them, either right now or if we see them later, we will pop in and answer a question about pre-approvals. So what needs to be in that document? It's just a letter. It comes in a PDF form typically. And it should have certain criteria. Obviously, the borrower's name or names. It's going to tell us whether it is an FHA loan or a conventional loan. That's important for reasons we won't get into right now, but we need to know that. The listing agent needs to know that when the offer is made. Mm-hmm. What else?
I
have a note.
Okay.
whether they need a closing cost credit or not.
Yes. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. And then I didn't mean to catch you off guard. And then the amount. So there are different opinions on this, but we hold ours very strongly and we can support it. This amount should not match your offer. That's the dumbest strategy ever invented.
I am not a fan. It again, back to the timing. You can win and lose deals based on timing. So what is the purpose of having a pre-approval that is lower than you're actually approved of, and then needing to track down a lender when you want to make a really competitive offer, especially in this market where highest and best is called and you submitted an offer for X. Now you want to go up $10,000 or $50,000 more, whatever it is. And now your pre-approval has to be redone because the pre-approval you've already submitted with that offer does not indicate the real number that you're now trying to resubmit. It's a lot of extra work.
Your offer is never based, other than it being the minimum, your offer is not based on what you can afford. Your offer is based on what you think the fair price of the property is.
Correct.
And, maybe what you think you can get away with. But you can go in with $1 million pre-approval and buy a $200,000 house, and no one in their right mind is going to say, well, you can afford $1 million. Let's ask for $900,000. It's a $200,000 house. You're not going to pay more than $200,000, but your $1 million pre-approval shows that you can, and that if we go to 202, your lender's not going to come back a week before closing and say he can't afford it.
Correct.
So we don't, and it's very frustrating when you now in the situation of multiple offers, you get 10 offers on the table and one of them has a pre-approval that matches exactly the offer that's $2,000 or $3,000 below the next best offer. And sometimes it might even come with an escalation clause and no supporting documents that they can actually escalate.
Right.
So you're looking at that and you're saying, so are they telling the truth with that pre-approval? Can they really not negotiate? Because chances are then we're going to move on to offer number 2, who might, not look as good in some other areas, but is a much stronger borrower.
Right. And actually, I just saw, going back to the who, another reason we really like our preferred lender, I was thinking about this as you were mentioning submitting offers, is that if it's one of our preferred lenders, that's a selling point. I call, and as a seller's agent, I also appreciate when an agent can say, this is my preferred lender.
Yes.
I've done 150 deals with that person. We've been, never let us down in the 2 years we've been working with that person, or whatever it may be. It just lends another layer of, this is going to be a real offer, a real smooth transaction as much as we can make it.
Absolutely. And also going back to the who, you need to talk to your realtor about who is really a trusted partner in loan origination. You might be surprised that some of the biggest names in loan servicing are not who we would recommend necessarily for origination. They sometimes do a really poor job on the upfront mortgage side. And there are a couple of really big names that have terrible reputations among realtors for getting that job done.
Yep. Not saying that it can't be done, but it's just, why not try to save yourself headaches and streamline it? And, when everybody's telling you this is the best path, then let's take that best path.
Yeah. And especially when a listing agent knows and has had bad experiences with, especially one of those larger lenders, they're moving on to the next offer. And sometimes they're taking a lower offer because they know that lender's going to get it done. And the other one is probably not, or it's going to be excruciatingly painful to get there.
Correct. So that was a little bit about the pre-approvals, why, who, and what. Just another little dive into a subsection of the whole process that is buying and selling a home.
So again, if you have any questions or comments about pre-approvals, drop them in the comment bar. And if you're looking at this later, then we'll come back and see what we can answer. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Putting the Real in Real Estate.
All right. Have a great weekend. Stay cool.